10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Four days later, the lunar module Eagle, carrying Armstrong and Aldrin, separated from the command module Columbia and began its journey to the surface.
Then we started our final descent, and I think in many ways that was the most complex part of the flight from our standpoint. Now, there were other complicated parts of the flight, but they had been demonstrated by other crews on previous flights. This was the first time we were getting to do something that had not been previously tested, and so it was the time for us to put our very best efforts into getting a successful conclusion.
There were problems crossing those last few miles, however. At various times during the descent, alarms sounded aboard Eagle, signaling a computer overload. Mission Control correctly predicted that the problem did not affect the landing radar and told the astronauts to proceed. Then, at less than 2,000 feet, the two astronauts realized Eagle's autopilot would deposit them in a rock-covered area surrounding a crater. At 300 feet, as Aldrin calmly continued to relay descent information, Armstrong took manual control of the lunar module, which had only 30 seconds of fuel remaining.
Great shadow. 4 forward, drift into the right a little. 30 seconds forward, drift. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. We copy you down, Eagle.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
We were around 30, 40 feet looking for that smoother spot, and then once we started settling on through, even though 30 seconds of fuel remaining had been called out by Mission Control, I felt quite confident that Neil's expertise would get us on the ground, and sure enough it did.
6.5 hours later, Armstrong left Eagle. He had prepared a speech only a few hours earlier. Like Armstrong himself, it was brief and concise.
I'm going to step off the limb. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The moon was a world of black and white and gray. The surface was even more compact than had been theorized. It was covered in a fine, powdery soil, much the same consistency as charcoal ash or talcum powder. Armstrong's boots sunk less than an inch into the dust.
Oh, that looks beautiful from here, Neil. It has a stark beauty all its own. It's like much of the high desert of the United States. It's different, but it's very pretty out here.
A half hour later, Aldrin joined Armstrong. They then spoke to each other almost matter-of-factly, but during the exchange, Aldrin softly summed up his impression of the moon.
Beautiful view. Isn't that something? Magnificent sight out here. Magnificent desolation.
Meanwhile, Mike Collins quietly orbited the moon in the command module. He was the most isolated person in history, but it was a peaceful loneliness. It has been a source of frustration to him that in the years following Apollo 11, he has been constantly asked if he felt cheated, left alone in the command module.
You know, I can't tell the truth about that because no one believes me, but I was just very happy to be where I was, to have the seat that I had. At that time, I think there were, 30-some people in the astronaut office that were all clawing and scratching to get to be on the first crew, I kind of felt, and there I was on it, admittedly not with the best seat of the three, but the seat I had then and now suited me just fine.
On the surface, there was work to do. The astronauts had little more than 2 hours to complete their tasks, which included deploying several pieces of scientific equipment, erecting an American flag, and collecting 48.5 pounds of soil and rock. Within the soil was a new mineral, which would gain the official title Armalcolite, the first syllable of each of the three astronauts' last names. Less than 24 hours after landing, the ascent stage of Eagle rose from the moon.
Tranquility Base, Houston.